Ancient artifacts, skeleton pirates, and is it a power miner's rock monster? Grab your whip and a banana, and let's talk about the 2024 Meat Studios LEGO Gamebook Temple Quest. Meat Studio is a Polish publishing house that has done a lot of fantastic tie-in work for LEGO in recent years, but not all of their books make their way onto US shelves. Some titles are widely available, while for others it seems quite limited. Several times over the past couple of years I've seen interesting titles on various LEGO blogs, but more often than not, I'll never actually see them in stores or online after that. I'll find out that they were either cancelled or only published in other countries. Sometimes I'll only be able to find non-English titles for sale online, even though the initial press releases and promo images showed their contents in English. Fortunately, now that I know that these are things that I need to track down like rare artifacts, okay, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, I have started to obtain the ones I'm interested in for review. I wanted to start out with Temple Quest because A, it nods at two of my favorite themes, pirates and adventurers, and B, I think the format is a great balance of lore and actual LEGO building. It probably goes without saying, but this was my own purchase. I was not sent a copy for review. This edition is from the UK, where it's published under the Buster Books imprint. One of the common themes in LEGO publishing from the earliest days forward is that it's not always clear whether the goal is storytelling or promoting play, and there's often a disconnect between what's being shown on the page and what you can bring into your own LEGO world. There are a huge number of great LEGO characters that don't even have a physical minifigure. Temple Quest gives you both a story and a building experience with 90+ LEGO elements and one minifigure, Anna Wilson. She's a jungle adventurer, and while this is a lowercase a adventure, she's similar enough to the relatively recently established LEGO City characters Jessica Sharp and Wanda About that I'm not quite sure why they weren't used instead. In fact, Anna uses the exact same torso print as Jessica. And I'm not gonna lie, it would have been neat to see Pippin Reed or Johnny Thunder here. The bricks and minifigure parts are all generic, nothing particularly noteworthy here. They come loose in 2 small boxes, no bags. These boxes are used in later levels of the game to serve as set dressing, which is a nice touch. The game also contains a mission guidebook which explains the story and provides instructions, and an adventure book which contains the 7 levels of the temple you'll be exploring in your quest. The illustrations are all very nice, with 1 or 2 exceptions that we'll cover later. Best of all, there are no required apps and everything fits back nicely inside the game case, so it's portable and easily stored on your LEGO bookshelf. Everyone has a LEGO bookshelf, right? Now that we've covered the basics, let's get started on our temple quest. But first, please remember to like and subscribe just in case we don't make it back from this expedition. As the mission guide explains, our hero is Anna Wilson, the fearless explorer and author of that timeless guide, Last Dinosaur Island, How to Get There and Why It's Better Not to Go. So this wouldn't be the first time Anna has traveled the trail blazed by beloved adventurers of old. The mystical artifact we'll be questing for is the Golden Frog statue. The mission guide includes the incredible tale of the Golden Frog story, which explains that the statue was created as a birthday present by a long-ago emperor for the ruler of Misty Island. Is this the same as the Island of Mist / Island of Fogs from the pirate stories? That's for you, the LEGO Maniac, to decide. The gift was to be delivered by a magnificent ship, which appears to be the vessel from the 10320 Eldorado Fortress remake. Unfortunately, the ship was attacked by pirates, Ennio Laquet, they don't use his name here, and his 3-in-1 pirate ship. The pirates sold the statue to the sort of evil Queen Rauna, but she was betrayed. The buccaneers stole half of her treasure before leaving the island. Enraged, the queen asked her royal magician to put a curse on the pirates, dooming them to live forever as skeletons. You may remember a similar curse appearing in the film Pirates of the Caribbean, the curse of the Captain Jack Sparrow's pirate ship. This does not bode well for the fate of our boy Ennio. Moral of the story, do not cross anyone with a magician on staff. Queen Rauna then hired a team of builders to construct a series of chambers beneath the temple. There, the Golden Frog would be protected by traps and dangerous plants and animals. But, in an amusing twist, the queen realizes that she spent the remainder of her fortune paying for the temple and its traps. The builders she's hired end up taking the treasure map as a final payment. In a last bid to protect the statue from any treasure hunters who came back with the map, the furious queen asked her magician for another curse, this time on the frog itself. This terrible black magic would ensure that anyone who touched the Golden Frog would get a pimply back. Bit of a downgrade from eternal life and torment as a living skeleton, but maybe that was all she could afford at this point. Each level of the game has a corresponding mini-vehicle with which you make your way across the game board. These include an off-road vehicle for the path to the abandoned temple, a mechanical spider for the scary garden, a hovercraft for the crocodile canal, a dazzle cart for the cursed ship, a windsurfing board for the lava lake, a snooze machine for the Golden Frog chamber, an armored grabber to retrieve the treasure without falling prey to the perils of a pimply back, and for the big finale, an escape plane to leave the temple with the treasure. Since these have to be constructed from the same 90 or so elements, they're not all winners, and there are a few that feel like the designers were grasping at straws. Still, some of the weakest models are the ones that are best tied into the story. The best example here is the Cursed Ship level, where the Dazzler card has a lantern to blind the skeleton pirates, their one weakness, while this statue depicts an ancient spirit capable of lifting the curse on the pirates. One model I did particularly like is the windsurfing board for its creative use of parts. The gameplay, if you can call it that, isn't exactly Temple Quest strength. You simply move along the board freely with no dice rolling or competitive element involved. You can build the models using the instructions provided or come up with your own designs to meet the challenges of the terrain as described on these paper flaps. Some flaps have minor setbacks, others have building challenges to meet before moving on. It's a fun imaginative exercise, but you have to be very, very committed to the game scenario here since there's nothing compelling you to keep playing along. I think this might be fun for a young child to play and build themselves with a parent serving as game master, but I'm not sure how high the replayability is here. The game's strength is in the design of the board. The mechanic of having cutouts that allow Anna to appear on the next level as you turn the page is simple, but fun, although best done with the assistance of a stabilizing element. The division of the game into different levels on the gamebook's board, each with a different environment and a cutout into the next level, brings to mind the old Insectoid Invasion maze book from DK. Each of the levels have a cool atmospheric look with a nice blend of LEGO elements in a non-LEGO environment. This includes a handful of neat Easter eggs like lava monsters reminiscent of the 2010 Power Miners theme. This mix isn't always consistent, but it's a huge step up over similar story and gamebooks I've seen from LEGO's publishing partners in recent years. Unless it's tied into an existing story world like Ninjago, many of these have only the barest of photographs or illustrations, so it's nice to see the settings really being brought to life here. That being said, this product does have some really gnarly uses of what I'm assuming is AI in the artwork. I can't definitively say how much of it was created or enhanced using AI, so I'm just going to call out this one example from the mission guide. The first illustration of the pirate ship at sea is serviceable enough. It looks like there's some kind of filter been applied to the product images to make it look like an illustration, but it's still recognizable as a LEGO pirate ship. However, this is the picture on the very next page. What is this? Are these supposed to be cannons? Why are they stacked on top of each other? What is this weird ornamental growth thing? This doesn't match the previous image and it doesn't look like the product. For that matter, it doesn't look like a real pirate ship or even a weird artistic interpretation of a pirate ship by an actual artist. Look, I think the world is still trying to figure out how and when AI can and should be used. Like a lot of people, I myself have used an AI tool here and there. But no matter your stance on AI, I think this is something that objectively falls short of the work that it's trying to do. For me at least, an image of a LEGO pirate ship is something that has timeless appeal. Why ruin it like this? At the very least, this should have been a cue for a human to step in and take out the egregiously bad artifacts. Only the best is good enough, right? I fixed this at 10 minutes in Photoshop. It's not perfect, but it's serviceable. Art quibbles aside, Temple Quest is a great addition to the LEGO lore backstory. While the gameplay is pretty basic, even for the bottom of the age range, it's still fun just to get to pieces and flip through the adventure book. I think there's potential here to add your own house rules, maybe adding a wider selection of parts, adding a dice roll, and a set of limitations for your builds, etc., etc. Most importantly, I think this actually comes pretty close to cracking the code on an ideal example of LEGO lore. It has all the right elements: an original character, great presentation, atmospheric, if flawed illustrations, an adventurous setting, and best of all, actual LEGO elements. It doesn't deserve to fall into obscurity, so I hope this video will let LEGO fans know that it exists. This isn't the last of Meat Studios book we'll be reviewing. They have a whole secret space saga that I haven't fully explored yet, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, let me know what you think about the concept in the comments. Is this something you would have enjoyed as a kid? What other obscure LEGO books and games do you think deserve more attention? Thank you for watching, please like and subscribe, and whatever you do, don't touch the golden frog statue. What did I just say?